Bullies mock the silent kid. They never saw the cage fighter coming. Alex Morgan hunched his shoulders as he navigated the crowded hallways of Westlake High School. At 15, he was shorter than most boys his age, with a soft, round face and glasses that constantly slid down his nose. His baggy sweatshirt concealed his slightly pudgy frame, the result of stress eating after his parents' bitter divorce and the subsequent move to this new town 3 weeks ago. He kept his eyes down, focused on the cracked linoleum floor as he made his way to his locker. 3 weeks at Westlake, and he'd already mapped out the safest routes, the spots where teachers usually stood, and which hallways to avoid entirely. Not that it mattered much. They always found him anyway. Well, look who it is. The marshmallow. Man! Alex's stomach clenched at the sound of Derek Chambers' voice. Derek was a junior, tall and broad-shouldered with perfectly styled dark hair and the easy confidence of someone who'd never known what it felt like to be powerless. Flanking him were his usual sidekicks, Tyler Nash, a wiry track star with a mean streak, and Cole Whitman, not particularly bright but built like a linebacker. I think he's gained more weight since yesterday, Tyler snickered, shoving Alex hard enough that his shoulder slammed into the lockers. Alex said nothing, his fingers tightening around the strap of his backpack. He thought about his uncle's gym in Chicago, the octagon cage where he'd trained for 3 years before the move. The techniques his uncle, a former UFC fighter, had drilled into him daily, the competition medals hidden in a box under his bed. But fighting back now would only make things worse. His mom was already stressed enough with the new job, the new house, the new life. Getting suspended would break her heart. Just keep your head down. Don't engage. This isn't worth it. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue pudgy? Derek reached out, flicking Alex's glasses askew. Or are you just too busy thinking about what you're going to eat next? The hallway had grown quieter as other students stopped to watch. Some looked uncomfortable, others amused, but no one stepped in. Ms. Patterson, the English teacher, glanced their way from her classroom doorway, but quickly turned back inside. Adults never helped. That was one of the first lessons Alex had learned in life. Leave me alone, Alex finally muttered, trying to step around them. Cole moved to block his path. What was that? I don't think we heard you. I said leave me alone. Alex spoke slightly louder this time, keeping his voice level despite the anger building inside him. Derek let out an exaggerated gasp. It speaks, and it's giving orders. Now, he stepped closer, towering over Alex. Listen, Chubby, you don't tell us what to do, we tell you. And right now I'm telling you to empty your pockets. Lunch money time. Alex thought about the $20 his mom had given him that morning, meant to last the week. Money was tight since the divorce. Every dollar mattered. No, he said quietly. For a moment, Derek seemed surprised by the refusal, then his face darkened. Wrong answer. The bell rang, saving Alex from whatever was coming next. The crowd dispersed, students hurrying to their classes. Derek leaned in close. This isn't over, Marshmallow. Catch you at lunch. As they sauntered away, Alex fought to control his breathing. In his head, he heard his uncle's voice. Control your fear. Fear is just energy. You can use it or let it use you. The morning passed in a blur of anxiety. Alex barely heard the teachers, his mind playing and replaying scenarios of what might happen at lunch. By fifth period, his shirt was damp with nervous sweat. The cafeteria. At Westlake was a cavernous space with long tables, industrial lighting, and noise that echoed off the high ceilings. Alex usually ate alone at a corner table, as far from Derek's crew as possible. Today, however, the usual table was occupied, forcing him to sit at one closer to the center of the room. He'd just unwrapped his sandwich when a shadow fell across his tray. Well, eating again, Tubby. Derek's voice dripped with mock surprise. Shocking. Alex didn't look up. Just ignore them. They'll get bored eventually. I think you owe us something, Tyler added, sliding onto the bench across from him. I don't owe you anything, Alex replied softly, eyes still on his food. See, that's where you're wrong. Derek's hand shot out, grabbing Alex's milk carton and upending it over his sandwich. You owe us respect. Cold milk soaked through the bread, pooling on the tray. Around them, conversation quieted as students turned to watch. Alex remained, still staring at his ruined lunch. Something hot and tight was building in his chest. Oh, is the baby gonna cry? Cole taunted. Alex slowly raised his eyes. For a split second, something in his gaze made Derek take a small step back. But the moment passed, and Derek's smirk returned. What's wrong, Fatso? Cat got your tongue again? He reached for Alex's backpack. Let's see what else you've got in here. Alex grabbed the strap. Don't touch my stuff. Or what? Derek yanked harder, tipping Alex off balance. The backpack spilled open, notebooks and textbooks scattering across the floor. A small photograph fluttered out. Alex and his mother, taken before the divorce when they were both smiling. Tyler snatched it up. "Who's this? Your mummy?" He made kissy noises. "Mummy's little baby needs his bottle." Something inside Alex went very still and quiet. He watched, almost detached, as Tyler pretended to wipe his nose with the photo. "Give it back." His voice sounded different even to his own ears. "Make me," Tyler challenged, holding the photo high above his head. Alex stood up slowly. The cafeteria had gone nearly silent now. Even the lunch ladies were watching. "Last chance," Alex said softly. "Give it back." Tyler laughed, turning to Derek. "You hear this guy? Last chance. What are you going to do? Sit on me." Alex moved before Tyler could react. His hands shot out, fingers finding the pressure point on Tyler's wrist, a technique his uncle had taught him for disarming opponents. Tyler's fingers spasmed open with a yelp of pain, and Alex caught the photo before it hit the ground. For a moment, everyone froze in surprise. "You little—" Tyler lunged forward, swinging wildly. Alex sidestepped the punch with an ease that seemed to shock even him. 3 years of training took over. His body remembered what to do even if his mind was racing with doubts. "What the hell?" Derek looked genuinely confused. Tyler came at him again, this time more cautiously. Alex blocked the punch and swept Tyler's legs out from under him in one fluid motion. The taller boy crashed to the floor with a thud that echoed through the cafeteria. "Stay down," Alex warned, his voice still eerily calm. Cole bellowed and charged. Alex ducked under his swing, using Cole's momentum against him. A simple hip toss, one of the first moves his uncle had taught him, sent Cole flying over his shoulder to land hard on his back, the wind knocked out of him. The cafeteria erupted. In gasps and scattered applause, someone started recording on their phone. Derek stood frozen, his face a mask of disbelief. Then rage took over. "You're dead, you fat freak!" He pulled back his fist and swung with all his might. Alex didn't even blink. He slipped the punch and countered with an open palm strike to Derek's sternum, just enough force to stagger him backward without doing real damage. Derek wheezed, clutching his chest. "I don't want to fight you," Alex said clearly, loud, enough for everyone to hear. "I never did, I just want to be left alone. Fight, fight, fight!" The chant started somewhere in the back of the cafeteria and quickly spread. Derek, face flushed with humiliation, charged again. This time, Alex met him head-on. A quick combination, jab, cross, leg kick, sent Derek stumbling back into a lunch table. Food trays clattered to the floor. "That's enough!" Principal Warner's voice cut through the noise as he pushed through the crowd, followed by 2 security guards. "Chambers, Morgan, my office now." Alex immediately stepped back, hands raised, to show he wasn't a threat. Derek, meanwhile, had to be restrained by one of the guards. "He started it," someone called out. "It's true, Mr. Warner," said Emma Chen, a quiet girl from Alex's history class whom he'd never spoken to before. "The big guys were bullying him. He was just defending himself." Other voices joined in, confirming Emma's account. Phones were thrust forward, showing videos of the incident from various angles. Principal Warner's stern expression didn't change, but he nodded slightly. "Nevertheless, fighting is against school policy. My office, all of you." He pointed to Alex, Derek, Tyler, and Cole. Alex sat outside the principal's office, staring at his hands. They weren't even shaking. 3 years of training in his uncle's MMA gym had hardwired his nervous system to stay calm under pressure. The adrenaline crash would come later, he knew. The door opened, and Derek, Tyler, and Cole filed out, none of them meeting his eyes. Their parents followed, shooting. Alex varying looks of disapproval and curiosity. "Alexander Morgan," Principal Warner called from the doorway. "You and your mother, please." Alex's mom sat rigid in her chair, her face pale. She worked as a nurse at the local hospital and had been called away from her shift. She wore scrubs and looked exhausted. "Mrs. Morgan, as I've explained to the other parents, we have a zero-tolerance policy for fighting at Westlake," Principal Warner began, sitting behind his massive desk. "However, given the circumstances and the overwhelming evidence that Alexander was defending himself after significant provocation, we're handling this differently than we might otherwise." Alex's mother turned to look at him, confusion and concern in her eyes. "The videos clearly show that your son was being bullied and that he tried to walk away multiple times," the principal continued. "The other boys have admitted as much after seeing the footage. They'll be suspended for 2 weeks, with community service requirements upon their return." He turned his attention to Alex. "As for you, young man, while I understand you were defending yourself, You displayed fighting skills that frankly were quite concerning. Where did you learn to fight like that? Alex swallowed. My uncle runs an MMA gym in Chicago. I trained with him for 3 years before we moved here. His mother looked surprised. Alex trained with his uncle, yes, but I had no idea he'd learned so much. He never mentioned being bullied here either. Her voice cracked slightly. I didn't want to worry you, Alex said quietly. You have enough to deal with. Principal Warner sighed. Alexander, keeping quiet about bullying only protects the bullies. That said, your restraint was admirable. You clearly could have hurt those boys much worse than you did. I didn't want to hurt anyone, Alex insisted. I just wanted them to stop. Well, I believe they will now, the principal replied dryly. However, I can't simply let this go without any consequences. You'll serve detention for the remainder of the week, helping the custodial staff after school. It was far better than Alex had expected. Yes, sir. And Alexander, Principal Warner leaned forward. If anyone bothers you again, please come to me or another staff member immediately. Is that understood? Yes, sir. As they left the office, Alex braced himself for his mother's disappointment. Instead, once they were alone in the hallway, she pulled him into a tight hug. Why didn't you tell me? She whispered. You're working so hard with the new job, the move. I didn't want to add to your stress. She pulled back, holding his shoulders. Alex, you are never a source of stress to me. You're my son. Your problems are my problems. That's how this works. She studied his face. I knew you were training with your uncle, but I had no idea you were that skilled. Alex shrugged uncomfortably. Uncle Mike said I was a natural. He wanted me to compete in junior championships, but then we moved. His mother's expression softened. I'm sorry about that. The divorce, the move, none of it has been fair to you. It's okay, Mom. Really? She squeezed his shoulder. I need to get back to my shift. Will you be all right here for the rest of the day? Alex nodded, surprised to realize he meant it. Yeah, I think I will be. Word traveled fast in high school. By the time Alex returned to class, everyone seemed to know what had happened. The whispers followed him down the hallway, but they were different now, curious rather than mocking. Is it true you're like a cage fighter or something? A boy named Jason asked him in chemistry. Not professionally or anything, Alex mumbled, uncomfortable with the attention. I just trained for a few years. Dude, that was insane. You took down all 3 of them like it was nothing. As the day progressed, more students approached him. Some introduced themselves as if they hadn't, spent the last 3 weeks pretending he didn't exist. Others just wanted details about the fight. A few thanked him quietly, revealing that Derek and his friends had bullied them too. By the final bell, Alex had received 6 friend requests on social media and an invitation to sit with Jason and his friends at lunch the next day. It was overwhelming and a little disorienting. As he walked to his locker, Emma Chen fell into step beside him. That was pretty impressive, she said without preamble. Thanks, he replied, not sure what else to say. My brother does jiu-jitsu, she continued. He said your technique was really clean. Alex blinked in surprise. Your brother saw. Everyone's seen it. The videos are all over social media. Emma shrugged. Personally, I liked that you tried to walk away first. That showed real character. For some reason, her approval meant more than all the other reactions combined. I don't like fighting, he admitted. Not really. My uncle says it should always be the last resort. Smart uncle. She smiled slightly. Anyway, I just wanted to say I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. When they were bullying you before today, I mean. I should have said something. It's okay. Most people don't. That doesn't make it right. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. See you tomorrow, Alex. As she walked away, Alex felt something shift inside him. Perhaps Westlake wouldn't be so bad after all. The next morning, Alex approached the school with a mix of dread and curiosity. Would yesterday change anything? Or would it all go back to normal once the novelty wore off? The first sign that things were different came when he reached his locker. No one was there waiting to torment him. Instead, a group of students nearby actually nodded in greeting. Morgan, a tall boy he recognized from the basketball team, called out. That armbar transition yesterday was sick. You ever think about joining the wrestling team? Coach would love you. Oh, I hadn't really thought about it, Alex replied truthfully. Well, think about it. We could use someone with your skills. Throughout the morning, similar interactions followed. Teachers looked at him differently too, some with newfound respect, others with wariness. Mr. Kaplan, his history teacher, even pulled him aside after class. I want you to know, Morgan, that if I'd seen what was happening to you, I would have intervened, he said solemnly. Violence is never the answer, but sometimes it's the only language bullies understand. At lunch, Alex hesitated in the cafeteria doorway. The thought of walking to his usual isolated corner felt strange now. Before he could decide, Jason waved him over to a table where several students were sitting, including Emma. "Saved you a seat," Jason said, gesturing to an empty spot. Tentatively, Alex sat down. The conversation flowed around him, normal teenage stuff about classes, movies, weekend plans. They included him naturally, asking his opinion, laughing at his cautious jokes. It was nice, different but nice. Alex was midway through his lunch when a hush fell over the cafeteria. He looked up to see Derek standing by their table, alone and looking uncomfortable. The entire table tensed. Jason half rose from his seat, but Alex placed a hand on his arm and shook his head slightly. "Can I talk to you?" Derek asked, his voice lacking its usual swagger. "Alone." Alex considered him for a moment, then nodded. "I'll be right back," he told the others, following Derek to a quieter corner of the cafeteria where they could still be seen, but not easily overheard. "What do you want?" Alex asked, keeping his tone neutral. Derek shifted his weight, not meeting Alex's eyes. "My dad saw the video," he said finally. "He was not happy." "Okay." He said, Derek cleared his throat. "He said I was a disgrace, that real men don't gang up on people smaller than them." He finally looked up. "My dad was in the Marines. He's big on honor and all that." Alex waited, saying nothing. "Anyway, he's making me apologize, so I'm sorry, I guess." The words came out awkward and grudging. "Is that it?" Alex asked quietly. Derek's face flushed. "What more do you want?" "I said I'm sorry. I want to know if you're apologizing because your dad made you, or because you actually understand what you did wrong." For a moment, anger flashed in Derek's eyes, but it quickly faded to something more complicated. "Look, I never thought about it before. Guys like you're just there. For guys like me to mess with. That's how it's always been. And now?" Derek shrugged uncomfortably. "Now I know you could probably kick my ass if you wanted to. So yeah, I'll leave you alone." It wasn't the most enlightened response, but it was honest. Alex nodded slowly. "That works for me. And Derek, I never wanted to be your enemy. I still don't." Confusion flitted across Derek's face, as if the concept of anything other than domination or submission had never occurred to him. "Whatever, man," he muttered, walking away. When Alex returned to the table, everyone looked at him expectantly. "What did he want?" Emma asked. "To apologize, sort of," Alex replied, sitting back down. "And you accepted?" Jason looked incredulous. "After everything he did?" Alex considered the question. "I guess I did. Not because he deserves forgiveness, but because I don't want to carry around all that anger. It's exhausting." Emma smiled at him, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. "That's the second time you've impressed me, Alex Morgan. Keep it up, and people might start thinking you're some kind of decent human being." The table erupted in laughter, and Alex found himself joining in. For the first time since moving to this town, he felt like maybe, just maybe, he belonged. Life at Westlake shifted dramatically over the next few weeks. The story of how unassuming Alex Morgan had taken down 3 bullies using professional fighting techniques had become school legend, growing more elaborate with each retelling. In some versions, he was a secret black belt. In others, an underground fighting champion. The reality was much simpler. Alex went to his classes, served his detention without complaint, and slowly made friends. He joined the wrestling team after some persuasion, discovering that the discipline and focus required weren't so different from his MMA training. His coach quickly recognized his potential and began working with him individually. Perhaps the most surprising development was his friendship with Emma. What had started as grudging respect had evolved into long conversations about books, music, and life in general. She was smart and funny in a dry, understated way that matched his own sense of humor. Derek and his friends kept their distance when they returned from suspension. There were occasional glares in the hallway, but nothing more. Other bullies in the school seemed to have taken note as well. Instances of harassment decreased, noticeably, not just for Alex, but for many of the usual targets. One afternoon, about a month after the incident, as it was now known, Alex was walking home when a car pulled up beside him. He tensed until he recognized the driver, Principal Warner. "Morgan, do you have a minute?" The principal rolled down his window. "Yes, sir," Alex replied, puzzled. "I've been meaning to speak with you. Your wrestling coach says you have real talent." "Thank you, sir. But that's not why I stopped. I wanted to tell you that since your demonstration in the cafeteria, reported bullying incidents at Westlake have dropped by almost 30%. Alex wasn't sure how to respond to that. "I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say." Principal Warner chuckled. "Nothing. I'm not condoning what happened, mind you, but sometimes it takes someone willing to stand up to change a culture." He shifted in his seat. "Which brings me to a proposal. We're starting a peer mediation program, students helping other students resolve conflicts before they escalate. I think you'd be an excellent addition to the team." "Me?" Alex was genuinely surprised. "Because I got in a fight. Because you tried everything to avoid that fight," the principal corrected. "And because when you did fight, you showed remarkable restraint. You could have seriously hurt those boys, but you chose not to. That's the kind of judgment we need." Alex thought about it. Would Emma Chen be involved? She seems like she'd be good at something like this. Principal Warner smiled. "As a matter of fact, it was Ms. Chen who suggested you for the program. She's already signed up." Of course she had. Alex found himself smiling. "Then I'm in." 6 months later, Alex stood in the Westlake High gymnasium, watching as new students toured the school during orientation. He wore a blue peer mediator t-shirt, as did Emma, who stood beside him. "Hard to believe that was you last year," she commented, nodding toward the nervous-looking freshman. "I was worse," Alex admitted. "At least they're starting fresh. I transferred in mid-year and promptly became a legend." She bumped his shoulder with hers. "Have you heard from your uncle lately?" Alex nodded. "He's coming to visit next weekend, actually. Says he wants to see this wrestling phenomenon for himself." He paused. "He also said he's proud of me. Not for the fighting, but for finding a way to use what he taught me to help people." Well, he should be. The peer mediation program's success rate is up 70% since you joined. Emma pushed her glasses up her nose. Turns out having someone who knows what it's like on both sides, being powerless and being strong, makes a difference. Across the gym, Alex spotted Derek talking to a group of freshmen. Surprisingly, he also wore a peer mediator shirt, a recent and somewhat controversial addition to the team. After much debate, Alex had advocated for his inclusion, arguing that reformed bullies could offer valuable perspective. "Still think that was the right call?" Emma asked, following his gaze. "I do." Alex watched as Derek knelt down to help a small boy who dropped his schedule. "People can change if you give them the chance." "You're too forgiving sometimes," she said, but her tone was affectionate rather than critical. "Maybe," Alex shrugged, "but I like who I am now. I like who we all are becoming." A commotion near the entrance caught their attention. A tall senior was looming over a freshman who looked close to tears. "Duty calls," Emma sighed. Together they crossed the gym, no longer afraid to step into difficult situations. Alex might not have chosen to come to Westlake, but he'd found his place here nonetheless, not as a victim or a fighter, but as something better, a peacemaker. As they approached the brewing conflict, Alex caught the frightened freshman's eye and gave him a reassuring nod. "You're not alone," he tried to convey. "Not anymore. None of us are."